What was the incident in your high school? Oh man. One time this kid I was friends with brought this hot sauce called a bomb, 1.5 million Scoville units, hotter than hell, to high school and let a bunch of kids try it during lunch. I mean at least 30 kids. Some kids really started freaking out because that it is ridiculously hot, like you're supposed to add 1 or 2 drops to a big batch of chili to make it spicy. Some were trying to show off and took a swig of it and ended up vomiting everywhere from the heat. Panic. Multiple kids had to go to the nurse and be sent home because they way overdid it, although I think most just really had no idea what a Scoville unit was or that they made hot sauce that was that ridiculously hot. It was chaos. I tried it as well, a dime size amount, and I couldn't concentrate on anything but chugging milk. And I'm really good with spicy foods. Finally the principal came on the intercom and said, whoever brought the hot sauce please, just stop. My friend got into some pretty big trouble for that one. That's the principal's sound of defeat. Any teacher, really. When I break that one out in the classroom I'm officially admitting defeat and pleading. Someone called in a bomb threat to my middle school and elementary school. Instead of evacuating both buildings we were in lockdown for 3 hours and they condensed all of us in the middle school. We later evacuated to the high school only like 300 feet away and were stuck there for hours because our parents couldn't get to us. All of our phones were taken because they didn't want us giving information, so there were like 700 white moms and suburbans simultaneously having a heart attack trying to get to the school. We learned later they called this into almost every school in the area. There was a robbery at a Bank of America while the cops were preoccupied. Classic payday gang. Medic bag. Anyone? There had been rumors since my freshman year about the assistant principal taking a certain special interest in a few of the girls. Almost everyone wrote it off as high school kids starting stupid rumors. Until my senior year, when 4 police officers came in after school and walked him out in cuffs in front of a few hundred students watching a basketball game against another school. He was fricking one of the girls in my grade and selling her oxycodone in the hallways. Got 10 years. Senior year we received our yearbooks the week of graduation, and to our surprise the full page action shot for men's soccer showcased our player jumping up and lifting one leg to trap and control the ball. Unfortunately, he forgot to wear underwear that game and the tip of his wiener was fully visible sticking out of the bottom of his shorts. Our school had over 4,000 students and we were required to bring our yearbook into security to have the dong sharpied over or we would not be able to walk at graduation. The image of school admins having to sharpie in the same peanuts 4,000 times is gold. Today, your job is to color in all the bell ends. Lose graduation for not having dong sharpied over in the yearbook. I feel like this was the point that someone arranged to have a phone picture of the associated picture printout from the networked printers. A guy went into the locker room during gym class and it into another guy's backpack. One of the students ditched high school one day and rode his dirt bike really fast in front of the school, popping a wheelie while the school was still in session. He wiped out and slid and hit his head on a light pole and died right in front of the school across the street. Really sad and super crazy. Damn. Pretty close to mine. Dude popped a wheelie on his crotch rocket hauling us across the parking lot before school one morning when a girl backed her car out and he hit it, launching him a solid 30 yards. Hit another car head first and died in the ambulance. The other high school that opened after I graduated had 2 kids murdered by fellow students in 2 separate incidents within a year, and another kid beat a guy to death with a hammer. Must be something in the water on that side of town. We were all called to an emergency assembly and told a student had died. Her friends were distraught and even the people who didn't know her went quiet. I think I remember a group of students putting together a type of memorial card. The whole morning was morbid. Until the dead girl arrived at school and didn't know what was going on. How do you mess up that bad? Did they ever give any explanation as to what happened? Nah, it was swept under the rug pretty quick. I think they acknowledged they were wrong once, but then just went silent about it. Why did it happen in the first place? Like what prompted them to think she was dead? Probably another student played a prank pretending to be the deceased student's parent or relative. During my sophomore year of high school I was on spring break with my family and we went out of state to a condo for the week. Great trip. I recommend Virginia to anyone looking for a scenic getaway. When we got back from that vacation and I went to school the next Monday, everyone was staring at me like they saw a ghost. I was an introvert in a public school of about 1,200 kids, so it was unnerving. I had girls and guys running up and hugging me, saying they were so glad I was okay. Many of them I didn't really talk to. I was so confused. Come to find out, in the next town over there was a kid who was struck by a car and killed while we were gone on spring break. His name was identical to mine, except for one letter in his last name. So everyone who saw it naturally assumed they spelled the name wrong, because that spelling was a very common mistake with my name. I wouldn't call it the incident for my school, but that day was very memorable and I had to share when I saw your similar story. My middle school gym teacher, whose name was ironically Mr. Dong, was busted for soliciting X from a teen. When I was in high school, our Hicktown school had a gang called the Cobras who would spray paint cobras on school property, write it on desks, in the bathrooms, basically everywhere. It was dumb and many of the students had a good idea who was a part of this gang, but the teachers didn't. The principal would call down groups for photos in the yearbook, siblings, sports teams, drama club, etc. on overhead announcements. And one day they called down the Cobras for a school photo for the yearbook, to try and figure out who they were. They caught almost half the students who were defacing school property, because they showed up for the group photo. How stupid do you have to be to walk into your own arrest? Ask anyone who has ever won tickets to the Iron Bowl and needs to come to the community center to collect them. Tunnel snakes rule. We're the tunnel snakes. That's US, and we rule. We had a teacher who was super nice. She was out for 3 days and we didn't question it much until she wasn't there again for the next week. Turns out her husband murdered her quite brutally. Was so quiet the next few months for that class we didn't really know how to process it. He's in prison and kids with the grandparents last I read. Quite sad. This kid was doing pull-ups on a door frame in our wood shop and some of his friends thought it would be funny to place a pipe bender under his ass. When he finished his pull-ups and dropped off the frame, the pipe bender went straight up his butt and tore his rectum open. Kid didn't graduate cause he spent so much time in the ER and now he has to it in a bag. Frick. I cringed so hard. Yes, some kid fainted when our shop teacher told us about the incident. And this is where I'm done with this thread. Christ. Similar story here. Except a percussion kid was doing squats as punishment for not practicing and another guy thought it would be amusing to stick a drum stuck right under him. Literally tore the guy a new one. The incident is still talked about today and my band director gets tired of telling the story. 2 kids got caught fricking in the ceiling. Like they took panels off the ceiling, climbed into the small space there, and fricked. Imagine you in the middle of Math 9 and you hear moaning in the ceiling. Buzzer goes and entire class has a hard time standing up. That's what binders are for, homie. Alright class, today we will be learning about derivatives and integrals very faintly. Oh frick yeah, that's the spirit. Derivatives and integrals. On the same day. Sounds like I'm the one getting fricked. I was a teacher and a very good kid just got pushed to his limit by a bully teacher. Had been bullied by this guy for a couple of years. Never did find out what was up with that. So bully teacher says something to the kid. He runs out to his car, grabs a crowbar and comes in smashing all the glass he encountered. It was safety glass, but lots of shards anyway. Tries to go after the teacher to kill him. He got trapped in the library. The classroom was located in a small classroom off the library, and I was right next door, keeping kids in their seats and unable to go to the bathroom for about 90 minutes. Cops began arriving from all directions since we were right off 2 state highways. State cops, canine cops, etc. Kid destroyed all the beautiful 1940s oak shelving, teacher's desk, anything that would break. His mum shows up and disarms him. Kid gets slammed on a stretcher and hauled off to the nearby AFB, where his dad worked. Not sure exactly what all happened there, but he got a lifetime ban from being at the high school and a serious restraining order from ever contacting or being near the bully teacher. I liked the kid, never had once tiny bit of trouble with him. Saw him a couple of months later and asked him to please tell me if he was ever mad at me. He laughed. Kid was diagnosed with intermittent explosive disorder. Went on to be a good adult. He'd just kind of lost it that day. It's one thing to be bullied by other kids, but by an adult in a position like that is devastating. Glad he's doing good now. Exactly. I had a teacher bully me for the entirety of 4th grade. When I became a teacher, I decided to be the opposite of that itch. In case anyone, like me, didn't know, a Facebook equals Air Force Base.